Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me as we take a look at your weekend or your work week forecast for October 10th through the 13th. And weather's looking relatively dry. Going to be a lot of clouds, though. Very fall-like feel. Different kind of dry than last week, but we are looking dry for the next 4 days at least. So here is our upper level low. We had our tropical system, Philip, that came on shore and then kind of got wrapped up into this upper level low, which is sort of the same system that affected us this weekend, and it kind of has retrograded, which is when a storm kind of moves against the normal flow. This storm has moved to the west, and then essentially is sitting over just north of the Great Lakes there, obviously swirling. And it is now detached from any kind of forcing, really, and it's just sort of the leftover swirl of clouds and a little bit of some showers and things. And so what happens with storms like this when they get detached like this is that it takes a while for them to spin down, and you see clouds kind of stick around for quite a while, and then slowly, though, without any new forcing to kind of reinvigorate the storm with like a contrast in temperature or a moisture boundary or anything like that, eventually the storms sort of spin out the energy that they've got and die in place, and eventually this will get pushed out to our east, and towards the weekend we'll have an approach of another storm, but we won't have to worry about that until the weekend, unfortunately, for the weekend. Although it looks like we're not necessarily locked in for another rainy weekend, although the chance is there for that. So we'll worry about that as we get closer to the weekend. But as you can see, we are under its influence still, but not nearly as much as we have been. Yesterday, very kind of typical way that you see when you get these upper level lows to our northwest like this, where we have relatively nice weather in the morning. And then we had some clouds and even a couple of sprinkles in the evening as you just kind of get waves of areas with more cloudiness and maybe even a sprinkle. For the most part, today is really the only chance I think that this system will impact us with a sprinkle. And today it'll be widely scattered, and I think most of us will not see a sprinkle, but definitely possible. If we take a look at radar, again, here's your surface low underneath that upper level low there in Canada. This looks much more impressive than it actually is, and also what's there is sort of still dying and not really moving that quickly to the east. There's some rain in upstate and very far upstate New York along the Canadian border. Most of that is not going to make its way towards us today, and then other than that, basically pretty clean across most of the rest of the country. Lots of high pressure across the Central Plains right now. They're getting lots of dry weather currently. If we take a closer look in at radar, you can see, and temperatures also, you can see temperatures in the 40s in a lot of areas, although a lot of valleys are down in the upper 30s. Was a frost advisory last night. I'm sure a couple of places did see a touch of frost, so the clouds kind of protected us from a bunch of that frost. Still haven't really seen a frost. This is quite late. We're kind of past the growing season anyway, just because of sun angle reasons. But definitely still, if you're trying to keep some of those plants going a little bit, this week, probably hover right around the frost level. We're going to have a lot of evenings in the upper 30s, where if we get a degree or two colder, you get a chance for some of that frost. 35 degrees is usually about the cutoff for frost, so 35, 34, somewhere in that range. No hard freeze in the forecast. A lot of times we've had a hard freeze by now, too, that really kills everything, no matter what you do. No putting a sheet on it or something like that to kind of protect it. But anyways, out to our west, you can see rain along the Canadian border here in upstate New York. Most of this is not going to find its way to us in any sort of organized fashion. There's a couple sprinkles, it looks like, that might be reaching the ground. A kind of a Route 9 going from Brattleboro over to Bennington. It is possible that we would see a few sprinkles, particularly the afternoon gives us a better chance of those. They would be very weak, pretty short-lived, enough to make the ground wet briefly, but then dry right back out. If we take a look at why this is happening, here's the upper level pattern. You can see giant upper level low pressure system here, pretty strong as well. Again, this is just a very well developed system. It had a lot of pieces go into it. We had a pretty strong upper level system come from the west, and we of course had the tropical connection. That all combined to just give us this big upper level low, which of course gave us all the rain on Saturday and then has kind of left us in a much more fall-like pattern this week, although temperatures are actually pretty close to normal even underneath this. Overnight lows are a little above normal. Daytime highs maybe a couple of degrees below where we would sort of expect them to be. That's not surprising given the cloud cover. If we take a quick look at what that actually means forecast-wise. So we're looking at lot temperatures very similar all week, as we're going to be in the upper 50s or around 60 degrees. And overnight lows, same kind of thing, where we're in around 40 degrees, plus or minus a few degrees each day. So today's the only day I think sprinkles are a possibility. You can see a few peaks of sun is definitely possible, but mostly cloudy. A couple of sprinkles, upper 50s. For high temperatures, 60 in a few locations, particularly if we see any extended sun, we could get up into the low 60s. But temperatures overnight tonight, where we'll be mostly cloudy tonight, temperatures in the upper 30s. Wednesday, we're looking at the best chance of the most sun on Wednesday. Still clouds around, and probably still about a 50-50 mix of sun and clouds, but more sun on Wednesday, I think. Temperatures low 60s. Overnight, fall back into the 40s, or around 40, upper 30s in some locations. Thursday and Friday, basically very similar, maybe a degree or two colder on Friday. Friday's mostly cloudy, probably the most clouds on Friday, and possibly a sprinkle on Friday, and then Friday night into Saturday, we'll have to start to watch an approaching storm from the west to see if that's going to give us issues on Saturday. It may sink south of us, or it may hit, might graze us. That's sort of the most likely scenario at the moment, but we'll have to keep an eye on that in terms of the overall forecast. I think Friday itself is dry, no problem, and Saturday might be dry. So work week highlights: dry week, lots of clouds with some sun mixed in for most of the week. The sunniest day will be Wednesday. Temperatures will be right around average for this time of year, basically, yeah, pretty close. And our next rain chance will unfortunately come over the weekend again. Not a guarantee this time, a little too early to tell for sure, but definitely a possibility. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. All right, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel before, I would encourage you to do so. Helps make sure you don't miss any of my videos, and helps make sure that, especially as I start with videos that aren't on my regular schedule as we approach some more significant weather, particularly snowy kind of weather or icy kind of weather during the winter. In those cases, you can, if you subscribe, you get a notification and then you don't miss the videos. If you're interested in getting emailed the videos and getting some additional forecasts, you can check out my patrons link below. Those are people who support the channel financially. They help support what I do here. And if you're interested in getting they have some extra benefits. If you're interested in those, you can follow the link, and it talks about those on my patrons page. Otherwise, thanks for joining me, and I want to give a shout out to my patrons. Oops, there they are. They really do help support the channel, and I will be back on Friday with a look at your work week forecast.